Almost 20 to 9. I was asleep right after I finished my smoothie yesterday. Um, I've been up for around an hour-ish, maybe 2. Closer to 2. Um, I woke up to, I don't even want to call him a landlord, it's the guy upstairs, banging on my door and yelling at me. Wondering why I had a fan running. Why there was vinegar out. And why there was coal everywhere. And he was angry. Now, I've explained before that this guy isn't there. And he didn't want to have a discussion. He didn't want to come to a conclusion. He came down yelling and screaming and wanted what he wanted done his way immediately, no matter what. Just like fat entitled idiots always do. He unplugged the fan, which I've since plugged back in. And he went around and he threw out my coal. So I just kind of closed the door. Let him do what he's doing, because I certainly don't want to get into a physical encounter with this beast of a man. I bet I could outrun him. But certainly wouldn't want him to fall on me, that's for sure. In fact, I think if I probably hit him in the right spot, I could generate a cardiac arrest. But let's not. It's maybe not necessary to have these thoughts at the moment. I just closed the door and went back in. Came back out. Coal's all gone. And they at least cleaned the front of the lobby, so that was a positive sign. So I went upstairs, knocked on the door of the smokers, and said, "Hey guys, what's going on? Did you complain that there was coal around here?" The answer is yes, they did. And so I asked them, "Well, what's the problem?" And the claim was that it upset their stomach. Really. Hackaday smokers concerned that coal might upset their stomach. To suggest that this is without without basis would be generous. The premise is ridiculous. But nonetheless, the quote was gone. I tried to explain that it would help pull down the smoke, and they didn't seem interested, right? So it's kind of hard for me to really care about what their perspective is when they don't really seem to have any interest in mine. So, I mean, had it been a different, had they demonstrated some interest in my concerns, I might have been a little bit more likely to have a talk with them, right? But it was just like, your coal upsets my stomach. What? There's no... You're spewing out pollution like a truck, right? I've got a truck living upstairs, and you're constantly producing pollution, and I'm supposed to believe that some hole in the corner is upsetting your stomach? That's ridiculous. But our thick-headed friend upstairs is not able to really think things through very well. So he did what would be expected, which is he threw a hissy fit. He threw all the coal out, and it left me with a bit of a of a quandary. Do I just go ahead and replace the coal, which is what is going to end up happening eventually, or do I take some other kind of tactic? I decided that the immediate issue is that I need him to replace the coal that he discarded. So he owes me $8 for the coal. And I went upstairs and I demanded that he recoup the funds, assuming as that's something that he owns. It's my property, and he damaged it, and he should replace it, right? And of course, I didn't get a response on that, right? As I would not have been expected to. All I got was yelling and screaming, and a threat for eviction, which I know is not legally. It's so legally frivolous as to not even bother deconstructing. To suggest that he has a basis to evict me is almost as absurd as suggesting that the coal upstairs upset that poor lady's stomach. But nonetheless, I wasn't getting my $8. So I decided that we would take $8 off of the rent until it's replaced. This was followed by a little bit of documentation sent to the previous property owner, and I kind of got to the point where I realized, okay, I need to talk to the property owner. Okay. I'm not going to get anywhere trying to have a conversation, with this dipshit upstairs. And the previous guy might be able to calm him down a little, but it's not really gonna help. I need to talk to the people that actually own the building. So I did a little bit of sleuthing, and I found the phone number online, and I gave her a call. It turns out that the property owner is actually his daughter. I was not aware of that. But that's the family relationship. So obviously I need to be a little bit careful about that. What I mean, I guess if she's gonna own the building, I've stayed there a few times and I'm waiting him out, so it's fine. She was much more reasonable. She seemed to agree that if I'm having, I mean, he didn't. I tried to explain to him that I'm having some issues with the secondhand smoke, and all I got was, they're allowed to smoke. Law says they're allowed to smoke. You can't do it. Well, I know the law says they're allowed to smoke. So that's why I'm trying to take non-invasive measures towards mitigating the smoke. And like I said, they didn't. The best thing they could come up with was it harms my stomach, which I don't. I pointed this out yesterday that there is a possibility that they could just be bitchy about it, right? What is the actual truth? The actual truth is probably that they're offended by the idea that somebody might want to not breathe in their smoke, right? And every time they see the coal, it hurts their soul. It makes them sad. That's the truth of it. They're offended by it. And, that's too fucking bad. You should be offended by it because you're a disgusting piece of shit. Look at what you're doing. You're breathing in horrific amounts of chemicals and expelling it for other people to breathe. It's a classic case of an externality, right? And I should not be the one that has to deal with that. They should be liable for it. It's their fault, it's their problem, and they should have to pay for it. As it is, I'm not even doing that, right? I'm just putting down a material that can help absorb it. And they find that too much. That's too much for them to deal with. putting down a material that can help reverse the damage that they're doing to everybody's air. That's too much. It's very sad, but like I say, there's no, their claim does not have any basis to it. Their actual concern is that it hurts their feelings. And we're going to have to get over that. Okay? The smokers in the world are going to have to accept that the byproduct of their habit harms people. It's a harmful habit. It hurts people. And they're going to have to take a little bit of responsibility for that. What I did was the least invasive, okay, the least aggressive thing that I could have possibly done. I just put some coal out to absorb it. And if that's too much for you, you need to bend. Because I do have rights, and I'm going to uphold them. If the coal hurts their feelings too much, perhaps we can put a filter up on the wall. There's other things that we can do if the coal is really that insulting to you. But as I pointed out yesterday, I don't think I should be concerning myself with that. And I think that if they're insulted, that's good. And I am going to continue to insult them until I feel the issue is properly mitigated and dealt with. And that's how it's going to have to be. She's asked me to write her an email, and the fact that she gave me an email address is actually very useful to me, so I don't have to call her all the time. Although that was the first time I called her. I would prefer to email. It's less invasive. She can read it when she wants. She can reply when she wants. You know, etc., etc. And she has suggested that she might come back tomorrow, and we can have a talk about this. So what needs to be done? I guess that we're going to need to have a bit of a roundtable discussion with myself and the property owner and the tenants upstairs. And we'll have a talk about things that can be done to try to reduce the effects of the secondhand smoke in the air. Like I said, the biggest, easiest thing to do, from my perspective, is just to put some carbon out. Because that's what carbon does, is it absorbs, right? Adsorbs. The chemicals stick. They stick to the surface of it, right? And do I want my $8 back? I want my fucking $8 back too. Absolutely. Although I'll tell you what. If you cover the cost of the filters that you put in, forget about the $8. That's my pitch. I'm a bit of a smooth talker when I want to be. And I'll get what I want done, like I always do. But I guess maybe what happened tonight is a good example of what happens when people don't want to accept the concept of community, right? When people become lost in concepts of individuality. Nobody thought for a second to come down and ask me to explain what was happening. Nobody thought to try to have a constructive discussion. Nobody thought it worthwhile to request my views or desires or interests. Everybody just wanted to enforce themselves. And instead of coming up with a solution that can benefit everybody, we've ended up with a lot of conflict. Thankfully, there is an adult in charge here. And it does seem as though we will hopefully find a way around this. Right now I need to write that email up. I didn't eat yesterday. I didn't have a proper meal anyways. So I should eat. I'm back to leaving the windows open overnight because the hole's gone. And maybe I'll get some work tonight. Maybe I'll get some work on tonight. Maybe I won't. I don't know. I might get a little bit distracted for the evening. We'll find out. So I haven't really eaten yet. My appetite's not very high, but I did manage to get this one in. This is not quite the way I intended it to be. I was kind of hoping it would maybe go up into these spaces up into here, right? But it's a little bit too big, like across. It's an inch across. I should have maybe bought it a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch. And with the way that I cut it, it's even fatter down here. So if I'm concerned about anything, it's going to be that the wind's going to pop it out here, right? We'll have to see how it goes. But at the end, I guess it was 17.5 up that way. And it's a little bit shorter than it could have been this way. But at the same time, it's like, if I could have got it another, what is that? So it's what? That's 15. If I could have got it maybe 16 or 17. I'm going to say 16-ish, yeah. 17 by 17 would probably be just about right. But like I say, that cost $2. If I can find something better, I'll grab it. Maybe next time. I'll have to make it to a Walmart or something eventually, but that store on the corner, it's not bad at all. I had to cut it to, like I say, 16.5 because it's about 1. And it's pretty much in there. This is a minor concern there, but I mean, I'm not right in I'm not in the bad part of Detroit, right? I'm across the street. I'm basically in a small town. It's not ideal, of course. It's actually known as one of the worst places in Canada for air pollution, but it's Canada, so relatively speaking, there's not really anyone in Canada that's all that bad. This is the same, so I'm gonna emulate it, and we'll pop it in there and see if it works. Yeah, so I got the other two up here, and it's the same thing with all of them. I didn't bother taping those ones. This one is over on this side. I don't know, I guess we'll just have to see how that works. This one fits a little snugger. But it's kind of the same problem with all of them. I thought I didn't measure the spot in between there. It's trial and error. I'll know what to do next time, if there's a next time. I need to figure out if it's going to work or not, right? So that's the kind of immediate determination. Is that going to have any positive effect or not? I can close the windows. Maybe I can't close that one after all. Well, maybe if yeah, okay. Yeah, no, it's good. So I can close all the windows. I'd have to mess with that a little bit. That one I know I can close. Closes, opens. So, I think this is a stopgap solution anyways. Why doesn't that one work? I guess it's just, if I push it in hard enough, yeah. Ouch. Watch your fingers, Jay. In fact, I'm gonna swap that around. I think if I put that on that side, it'll be better. Let's see. Yeah, I was just pushing it a little bit, so there we go. Alright, so, keeping in mind that it might be a few days until I get the issue with the carbon upstairs resolved. It gives me open windows. It damps the holes a little bit too, right? So that's also probably a good thing in terms of being able to leave the windows open and let a fresh air come in. Right. On this side, I noticed that there's a little bit of a cat smell over here. Whereas the other ones are usually pretty clear. Normally, this is the one that when I get the gassy kind of smell, normally this one's the worst. So, yeah, I'm gonna. I mean, if I can't get the carbon upstairs for a few days, then I'm gonna want to have these open, and that helps. But I mean, we'll see if it. I'm gonna have to do a long trial because the weather changes dramatically. When the weather changes, the air quality changes. I mean, who the fuck knows how it's gonna switch over the next like day or two, right? So, if I find this is making a difference, I'll definitely do that. It was really not that hard. Maybe I could swap them. Actually, I need to swap my water filter too. Or do I? I can't even remember. I should, except I know that I waited too long last time. So, yeah, I'll give this one an extra season. I'll wait till June. But if I swap them at the same time as I swap the Brita filters, and that's every season, right? So that's what, every 4 months? This is every 3 months. December to January, January to February, February to March. It's every 3 months. And March to April, April to May, May to June. June to July, July to August, August to September. Yeah, so it's every 3 months. My battery's about to go. But like I say, it's to get the numbers down, it was I had to cut this one to 16.5, so it would be 17.5 by 20. I had to cut this one to 16.5, so it would be 17.5 by, that's 15, but it could be a little bit bigger, 17.5 by 16 or 17.5 by 17. And this one is over here, it's the same as that one. And I don't have anything in the small window. I'm not even. So I'm getting smell from under here again. So I'll leave the heat off in here because it stinks. So it's another problem. That's the gas smell problem. It clearly comes from in behind where the sewer is. It's got to be sewer gas. I'm kind of coming to that clear conclusion that it's not. I mean, it's sewer gas and burning gas have to smell the same, basically, right? So if you can tell the difference, you have better nostrils than me. I couldn't tell the difference, and I think I can see what the difference is now, anyways. Plus, the pollution from outside smells the same too, right? So 3 things that all smell the same. Although, like I say, they found the leak upstairs and they fixed it. Anyways, I'm still not hungry, so I don't know what I'm gonna do next. I'm a little bit calmer, anyways. We'll see how things go from here. So as expected, I haven't got anything done today. I've just been. Did I switch this? I need to switch this before I do anything. So I've just been reading all night, reading up on a couple of things. One of them is that I never thought to even think about what it is that this is composed of. This is made out of fiberglass. I don't know if it's working or not, but it's probably not the best thing to be breathing, especially considering that I cut it all up and stuff. So that was maybe a little bit foolish on my behalf. I probably should have tried to figure out what the hell was actually in here before I threw it in. But I mean, look, like it's all like falling apart and everything. Like this isn't. That's not a good idea. So leave that open just a little bit. In fact, I don't want to deal with that. So it's just the cheap ones. Like I say, like I didn't. it didn't even cross my mind to ask the question, what is the filter made out of? Um, I guess I assumed that an air filter would not be composed of fiberglass. Um, I kind of figured a air filter would be made of material that doesn't fuck your lungs up. That's is that a crazy assumption? Apparently, it's designed to protect your your furnace, right? Um, and it's just not meant to be handled like that. So, the idea of cutting it up. I mean, I guess if I had just taken it and brought it home and put it like in a furnace, it would be, but taking it and cutting it up, um, it's minimal exposure, but you kind of don't want any exposure to fiberglass, huh? So, I'm gonna wait, I guess, until after the first, and I'm gonna try to do this again with some of the more expensive filters. I got a price check. They're around $10. They're also a lot thicker. So, to replicate what I just did with those ones is gonna cost about $30. Um, I don't know if it's worth it or not. We'll see. I think it probably is. Um, the other thing I spent a little bit of time doing overnight was looking into what kind of like what is the legality. Am I? So, see, I've been talking about changing the rules and fighting for my rights, and and struggling for it. But am I already within my rights? Do I have any basis of demanding that the landlord do something to fix the problem, right? And it turns out that I do. There's a tort called the quiet enjoyment um, of a property, and it has been used to litigate over secondhand smoke. Um, I don't want to sue the landlord, you know, but I mean, like, the response that I got today is the landlord is legally required to make a reasonable effort to mitigate the problem. Stomping around like a 4-year-old um, and throwing out the coal is not making a reasonable effort, and I that would be reasonable grounds for litigation. There's little doubt in my mind on that behalf. That said, um, I don't want to do that. Um, what I want is for the property owner to recognize that he does have an obligation to help mitigate the problem. You know, um, I didn't even ask. Like, I mean, I didn't go to the property owner and say, "It smells terrible. Do something about it." Like, I didn't do that. I took the problem into my own hands. I dealt with the issue myself. And shit for brains up there decides he's gonna stop. Like, it's just in a situation where he's legally obligated to help mitigate the problem, he prevents me from mitigating the problem. you know, it's. I mean, I recognize the absurdity of the situation, but like it's worse than I thought.
not only is he being counterproductive and getting in the way of something that he should just by basic decency not do, but he's actually acting against his legal obligations in doing so. He needs to listen to me and do something about it. So, um, one of the things that his daughter said when I was talking to her on the phone, um, like she explicitly said like don't even bother talking to him, right? Like this is his daughter, right? Just to kind of get an understanding. Like his own daughter said he's unreasonable. Don't even bother talking to him. His brother said the same thing, right? So I mean, this is like his own family sees him as unreasonable. So, you know, um, I mean, I don't. I suspect that the upstairs tenants are probably misinformed as to what it is that I put down. They may think I put down a dangerous substance. It might give them cancer, right? Um, I think that if we can get over all of this, like as I pointed out, it would have been so much easier, like if like instead of calling authority, like why didn't they just come down and talk to me like fucking normal fucking human beings? Like what has happened to people where they're so fucked in the head that they can't talk to their neighbors about something, right? Um, they have to call the boss to come in and it's just like, oh, what the fuck is wrong with people? Anyways, that makes things a lot, just kind of getting a better understanding of it. Um, I don't when they get I don't know what time they're gonna get here at, if it's gonna be in the morning or the afternoon or night or what, but like I don't want to start waving case law in their face, right? I want to be like, okay, listen, let's be reasonable people here. Let's apply the reasonable person standard. Um, we're all white, so we don't have to get into that. Um, and let's talk about. Like, there has been some suggestion that the reasonable person is racist, but it, whether it's crazy or not, it's not applicable. Yeah. Um, let's all be reasonable here. Do they want to? Do they want to choke me? I somehow doubt that. And do they enjoy polluting the air? Like it's. You would think that they would say okay, because I mean I'm not trying to tell them what to do. I'm not trying to stop them from smoking. I'm just trying to make some reasonable mitigating uh, actions to try to minimize the effects on me. I don't. I can't for the life of me understand why that's something that would bother them, other than stamping stamping them with the word asshole on their head. It's like asshole. Like that's the only way to make sense of somebody who's trying to prevent me from mitigating the effect of their secondhand smoke. You're an asshole. And we're not going to get beyond that kind of thing, right? Um, I think that we can hope that that's not true. I think we can hope that they're just ignorant of what it is, the substance that was placed in front of them. Like I say, they may think it's like, how does coal give you a stomach ache? You would have to think that. I mean, the premise is that you think that the coal is emitting something, but that's just chemically wrong. What coal does is it adsorbs, right? So what coal does is it sucks everything that's in the environment into it. Coal does not give off a fume. Coal does not emit chemicals. I mean, it has a half-life, but I think it's carbon decays to what, to nitrogen? Like, I mean, there's nothing coming off of it. So how does it give you a stomach ache? By telepathy? Is it like it makes no physical sense, right? So it's just, but I mean, they wouldn't even talk to me. Like I tried to, they're just like, no, it hurts my stomach, and then they close the door, right? So we're gonna have to sit down and have a talk about it. They said talk to the landlord, but no, it's I don't need to talk to the landlord. I need to talk to the tenants. It's the like it's we can bring the property owner in and have that person act as a mediator if you insist. But ultimately, I need to talk to you, and we need to come up with a solution. It has nothing to do with the landlord. It has to do with the tenants, right? Like it's I'm surrounded by buffoons. I'm surrounded by idiots, and there's not like like I'm cognizant of this. I've been cognizant of this my whole life. But I mean, the research I did overnight, it helped me better understand the leverage that I can present if I have to, right? As mentioned, I don't want, when they get here, I don't want to start waving case law in their face. What I want is to have reasonable discussions with reasonable people about reasonable solutions to a problem that any reasonable person can see exists. And if they want to be unreasonable, at least hopefully I think I can at least count on the property owner to be reasonable. And I mean, if they can't be reasonable, that's what the litigation is for, is to force them to be reasonable. So, we can have this discussion one way or the other, kind of thing, right? I don't want to walk down this path, right? I want everybody to be reasonable, to see what is clearly reasonable, and to make rational, reasonable decisions. But I gotta get that fiberglass out of here too. I just didn't. What time is it? 6 o'clock. I'll take a walk, maybe get a coffee. I don't know. I got less than 24 hours before money comes in. So, and I'm way behind on my food this month. I keep buying chips. I've been good about making sure that I get my daily smoothies anyways. But I keep buying chips, and the chips keep eating into my food, right? So it's like I don't I should be like I've missed like at least a week worth of food, right? Just been surviving on chips. I do this periodically. There was a period about 10 years ago when all I ate was Doritos. And it's not because I was poor. In fact, I had more money than I think than I've ever had. It's just I didn't feel like making anything. I just walked down to the store and bought Doritos. I spent all my money on Doritos and cigarettes, and I didn't age a day, right? It's I bet I had great cholesterol even too. Anyways, my diet is good. I should be in good health. It's just I know I need to refrain from these. What's the word I'm looking for here? These lapses. Out of all of the bad lapses that I'm prone to, the junk food is really the worst. Like I say, thankfully, at least I'm forcing myself to have the smoothies. I'm getting nutrients and everything, but So I'm gonna try to make some eggs because I haven't had a meal since. When did I have a meal last? When did I come back? Saturday? I think I had some spaghetti. Yeah, yeah. I had spaghetti on. Well, I had. Okay, so I had the pizza on Saturday. I had spaghetti on Saturday, Monday. But like I didn't eat Tuesday. I didn't eat Wednesday. It's Thursday morning now. It's Thursday morning. Where did this week go? Another week lost. Wow. Anyways, I'm gonna try to make some eggs, and this is the first meal I've had since Monday. What was it? Yeah, it was the day I went out. I went out on. No, or was it? Yeah, I went out on Tuesday. So it's 2 days that I lost. I went out on Tuesday to get stuff, and I came back with a bag of chips. It was a bag of cheesies. It's because they have these new flavors, right? And I gotta try all the flavors. But I need some choline. I need some nutrients. I'm gonna get scurvy, and I'm gonna die. So let's make some eggs. And but I mean, this week has not been productive in the sense that I wanted it to be. But like these are things I need to read up on and understand and learn, right? So life is all about constant learning, and this is what I'm doing. I learned a little bit about case law on this topic so that I can fight back for the secondhand smoke. But like I say, hopefully I don't have to. Hopefully reason wins the day without, like, reason will win out in the end. I can be certain of that. But how many irrational people do I need to deal with before reason wins out, right? How much insanity do I have to sort through before I get to a logical end? The court will assert a logical end in the end. It will. I have absolute faith that I will eventually find reason. But will I need to deal with irrational tenants and irrational landlords, possibly irrational property owners, before I get to an endpoint of logic through litigation? Do I have to deal with that? Or can I find someone in this world that makes sense? That's outside of, the legal system. Is it so much to ask for people to fucking make sense? Can you make fucking sense for me, please? Is that so ugh. It's really not a lot to ask for clean air. I'm not asking for the world here. I'm asking for clean air. Can you make sense for me? Please. This is late capitalism, people. This is what it's like. We'll find out soon enough. But yeah, it's $6 down the drain. It's not the end of the world. I should have figured out what they were made out of. But like I say, I don't. Is it really so crazy to think that a furnace filter is made from something that won't harm you? Considering that, like how did it come to be? Like, even taking into consideration, right, the understanding that it's not meant to clear the air. It's just meant to protect your
your filter, or sorry, it's meant to protect your furnace. Like, even keeping that into consideration, how did it come to be that it's made out of something that's harmful? Why do they sell these? Like, they shouldn't. That should not be on the market if you think about it for a second. It's fiberglass. I didn't have a clue what it was made out of. I actually started wondering if it was made out of asbestos, believe it or not. But I mean, it's like, why are these for sale? I don't think it's unreasonable to assume that an air filter is made from something that's not harmful. It's insane. It, again, this is capitalism. They sell you fiberglass air filters, and you actually have to do the research to know not to buy fiberglass air filters. This is the reality of things. Believe it or not, I'm astounded. I'm it's astounding to me. I can't even. Anyways, let's get it out of the house. It's about 9:30 and I'm actually kind of exhausted. Not tired, but just exhausted. I guess it was an exhausting day. One of those days, huh? I have more of those days than I'd like. I sent out an email about an hour ago. I think I need to be more rigorous in testing the effects of the various adsorbents and other um, mitigating factors. I know that the fan doesn't work entirely. The fan seems like it makes things better sometimes, most of the time. But the fan on its own is not enough. I put the vinegar down on, what is it, Sunday night I put the vinegar down. And then I put the coal down on Monday night. Is that right? I think so. No, what am I at? It's Thursday morning, so Wednesday. I gotta get the. Yeah, I think it would have been Monday night. Yeah, I think I put the vinegar down on Monday night. And then I only waited like 24 hours before I put the coal down, right? And the coal was only there for like 15 hours. So there I am trying to make a big deal out of putting the coal down when I don't know if it's gonna work. I don't know what the effects are. Um, I think that I was perhaps a little bit irritated and asserting my right to clean air. But right now, asserting my rights is not. It's good that I'm concerned about asserting my rights, and I will continue to assert my rights. But that doesn't mean enforcing my will without caveats, right? I could be a real nuisance and force them to put the carbon in. What happens if the carbon doesn't work? What happens if it doesn't do anything? Conversely, what is the point of putting the carbon in if it's good enough with just the vinegar? So I put the carbon and the vinegar down basically at the same time.
And just kind of from a blind efficacy standpoint, obviously, you want to do as much as you can, right? Like, if you've got a hot dog, you want to put as many things on it as you can. That's a ridiculous analogy, but it's the truth, right? Like, maybe it's good with mustard, but you want it with mustard and ketchup and relish and pickles, and you know. Um, Maybe at the end of the day, you would have enjoyed your hot dog if it only had mustard on it, but why would you do that if you have the opportunity to put all these other things on it too, right? What I'm getting at is, I might not need to do anything. Uh, I mean, the purpose of this is not to win a battle of egos, right? It's not to bludgeon the enemy. I can let him die of natural causes soon enough. The purpose of this is to mitigate the secondhand smoke and the effects of the secondhand smoke, and to ensure that I'm not breathing shit in all the time, right? I don't know that the carbon was necessary for that goal, and I don't know that it was sufficient enough for that goal. So why am I going to go through this like brutal process when I neither know if it's necessary nor sufficient yet? I think that we rather need to slow down and do things incrementally. Okay, so step one is we need to test with the vinegar. If, in a week or two, it turns out that there's no smell, well, maybe that's good enough, right? But I mean, I'm gonna have to give it more than a couple of weeks. I decided to give it till because Monday to start, because that's, you know, um, it's the weekend, so it gives them an opportunity to have a couple of high smoky days. They'll smoke a lot on Saturday, they'll smoke a lot on Sunday, and then we'll find out on Monday if we're good with just the vinegar or not. It's not the end all of it, right? If we get through the weekend, I have to keep an eye on it for a little while. And I mean, ultimately, this is the kind of thing that it's like one fuck up and we're escalating kind of thing, right? It could be fine for 6 months, but I walk in there and for one day and it's smoky, then it's trying something else kind of thing, right? So let's try it with this. Now, step two is gonna need experimenting with carbon, and I don't know a way to do that besides putting the charcoal down. Maybe I should have consulted before I just did it. Um, maybe I should have contemplated the possibility that people might get freaked out about something that's essentially inert. One that's actually the exact opposite of inert, but it doesn't. A container of charcoal is not going to hurt you. Okay, it's not. It like I say, it doesn't expel anything. It sucks everything in. If you're in a big room full of charcoal, the worst thing that'll happen is you might get a little desiccated. But I mean, it's not a dangerous thing. So it's like, but at the same time, maybe I should have been more cognizant of the reality that people get scared easily. People don't, like people don't have basic concepts of science. No, it's true. Like people took to like grade 10 science. I don't know what their backgrounds are up there, but I mean they didn't have an answer, right? So either I'm like embarrassing them or they got confused, or I don't know. But if the vinegar doesn't work, I'm gonna have to come back to this, right? And this time, now that I know that there's a reaction, I'm gonna have to ask around, right, and ensure that everybody's happy about it. Explain what I'm doing, explain why I'm doing it, explained that it's for a time frame. It's a trial, and it's meant to test um, for possible future, wall installations. So that's this morning. As you can hear, no doubt, I am exhausted, and I'm gonna pass out. It's a crazy day, and hopefully tomorrow's a little bit more relaxed. So it's about 11:30. I've been standing out here for about half an hour. Apparently, my fan is blocking the entranceway, even though it clearly isn't. They've actually gone to the length of calling the police, and I actually think that that's something that will work out in my benefit, so that they're given a strong disincentive to bother me any further. They have an obligation to respond to my complaint. Not only are they not responding to my complaint, they're attempting to interfere with my harmless attempts to mitigate the problem. So it's pretty clear that I'm going to have to sue them. It's something I'll have to do in the next couple of days. There's not, if the legal standard is a good faith attempt, they've failed just about as badly as they possibly could. This is a bad faith obstruction. Their claim, as I say, is that their claim is that I'm blocking the doorway. I'm obviously not blocking the doorway. If I was blocking the doorway, I would move it over an inch, and then I still wouldn't be blocking the doorway. But see, that's not their concern. They actually want to stop me from blowing polluted air out of my apartment. It's really hard to make sense of. I could have started this process with a complaint against the neighbors upstairs. I could have demanded that the landlord do something. I could have demanded they evict them for various reasons, including illegal drug use. There's a lot of things I could have done, but I didn't do that because I wasn't interested in causing a problem. I was interested in clearing my air. I don't give a fuck about them. I don't care what they do. I care about me, and I care about my air and my health. But when you're dealing with, and I pointed out repeatedly that both of these people are retarded. That's not an exaggeration. That's not a baseless insult. They are legally, mentally retarded, both of them. And the old property owner seems to be senile at this point. I'm really hoping that when I can see the new property owners face to face, that they're reasonable people, and that I don't have to jump to the absurd conclusion of suing, that this gets dealt with internally, kind of thing. But right now, it seems pretty clear that any good faith movement towards a resolution is laughable. And I'm just kind of waiting for the cops to get here so that I can get that report written up for my own benefit. Now, I have to stand out here because if I go in, they're actually going to dismantle my fan. Like I said, they may claim that I'm blocking the doorway, but I'm obviously not blocking the doorway. I mean, even that big fat piece of shit could walk through here. It's not even close, right? Nobody else around here is that obese, so nobody else would have that problem. So I mean, it's not
It's not really what the issue is. They really actually want me to turn a fan off. And um, it would be maddening if it wasn't so depressing. If the stupidity, if the overwhelming stupidity was not so depressing, it would be so angering, right? Um, it's just, it's remarkable. But like I say, I'm not getting any kind of good faith reaction at all. I'm getting very clearly malicious obstruction, almost just for the basis of it, as though it's kind of like a power struggle or an authority issue or something. So we're going to have to go the route of legal action. I'm going to have to legally force them to mitigate the problem upstairs. I could force them to put a door in, maybe. We could put some carbon stuff up on the walls. It's going to require some caulking. They may have to redo some floors. They might have to take these out altogether. It's going to be a really expensive thing. It could have been avoided potentially by simply working with somebody, by showing good faith to the tenant. But if people want to be stupid about it, then they're going to have to pay the consequences. And in the long run, it'll be good for me. I'll have a newer, this place is old, it's falling apart. If I can use this as an excuse to renovate, that's not the basis of it. It's the smoke's the problem. But if the end result is that this area gets an overhaul in order to mitigate the smoke problem, then that's good. It's hard for me to claim any sort of remorse in this tactic with the full understanding that I'm dealing with just complete, utter, total, worthless assholes. And if that's the face of it, if that's the reality of it, then if this is what it's going to be, then that's what it's going to be. I'm not going to just be quiet and swallow my poison. I have rights, and I'm going to ensure they're enforced. So that's what I'm doing. I'm standing out here. I'm waiting for a cop. So that I don't even know what I don't know what they expect. It's like the cop's going to come down and be like, yeah, this isn't obstructing the doorway. Well, maybe I can have a talk with the cop and we can have it written down somewhere that I'm dealing with a malicious landlord, so that they kind of have it aside that if there's an issue here, they know how to deal with it, sort of thing. So I think it's to my benefit to have that documented. So I actually requested it. So hopefully they're here soon. And let me turn this off now. Actually, you know what the best thing they could do right here is? They could put a wall up. Yeah. They could put a wall up through here and then have two doors. If we end up in a courtroom, that's what I'm pushing for. That would completely block them off. Essentially give me a private entrance, at least through here, meaning that I'd never have to smell anything through here. Yeah. Hey, I had an easy solution. If you want to be stupid, you can be stupid. So yeah, I just sent the email out. My demand is that they put a wall, basically up along, just like so it separates the upstairs from the downstairs, the two different stairs, right? If there's a wall in between there and two doors, then I could just walk through my door downstairs and they could walk through their door upstairs and we wouldn't have to pass each other, we wouldn't have to mix. And all of the smoke from upstairs would stay there and it wouldn't be a problem. I don't have good faith. It's just they've made it very clear that they're not interested in taking my concerns seriously. And if they're not going to take my concerns seriously, then we're gonna jump to litigation. There's no. I mean, I woke up well, before I went to bed, or before I tried to go to bed, I sent off an email. It's just like, okay, let's take a step back. Let's try the vinegar. You know, I didn't do anything confrontational here. So, let's let everybody kind of chill out. But, a few hours later, I've got, I've got a retard upstairs coming down here, demanding that I turn off my fan and let the smoke sink. It's just, like, they're not even close to listening to my concerns. Um, there's no, there's nothing close to good faith on their behalf. So I put my demand forward, and they can choose to meet it, or we can go to court, and that's going to be that. So I suspected in the process. I think that a part of the issue here is that the legality of the ownership is perhaps a little bit sketchy, but that's not my problem. And they've done nothing but be stupid. So, they get what they got coming. So, hopefully the cop gets here soon because I've been sitting out here for too long. It's like 12:30ish. And so yeah, I mean the date I sent out is April 10th. So I better get a response by April 10th, or we're going to court, and that's how it's gonna go. It's 9:30 at night, and I'm wide awake, but I'm hungry, and I'm not. I should be tired, but like this was one of those days where like I tried to go to sleep at 10-ish or so, and then I was like fighting outside for like hours and trying to sleep and couldn't. So I've basically been in bed for most of the last like 12 hours, but I didn't get any sleep at all. So like now I'm wide awake and kind of don't really. I don't know. I kind of want to get up and eat because I'm hungry, but I'm sore, and this is I'm anxious. Basically, that's the actual problem here. The actual property owner came down a few hours ago. Tried to convince me that the fan in the doorway was a fire hazard, so I moved it an inch, and then he tried to still tell me it was a fire hazard, even though it obviously wasn't. At that point, I kind of said, okay, this guy's not honest. There's not any use. Well, what am I gonna like? Obviously not a fire hazard. You're telling me it's a fire hazard. What's the use in continuing this conversation, right? And I just took it out and I put it aside, but I put it back when he left. There is actually a clause in the Ontario Tenancy Act that allows me to do what I'm doing. I just have to find the right one and use the right language. So, should this come up again, we'll make sure to cite the right thing. But perhaps more importantly, I asked him point blank, what are you going to do to mitigate the effects of the secondhand smoke? And I didn't just get crickets. I got an affirmative no. I got a 9. I'm not doing a damned thing to mitigate the effects of the secondhand smoke. Now here's the thing. That's what he has to do. I'm making a request to him, and he's obligated to make a reasonable effort to fulfill that request. For him to ignore my request is completely motherfucking illegal, right? It's just off the wall wrong. And that's what happens when you're a privileged douchebag, is you don't care what, you don't care what your obligations are, and you probably don't know what your rights are. You just, you walk around and you do whatever you want and fuck everybody else kind of thing, right? So,
but I mean, that's, for me, that's a gift, right? Because what the court process is going to do is it's going to ask him, what have you done? Like, that's a part of the process. It's going to ask is, have you made a reasonable effort to mitigate the problem? And, if the answer is yes, I've made a reasonable effort and I've done this and that and that, then the court will be more lenient. But if the answer is, what am I supposed to care about my tenants? Duh, duh, duh. I know I'm a landlord, but I'm not supposed to care about my tenants, am I? My tenants ask me to do something, I don't have to actually do it, do I? I mean, I'm the landlord, right? I own them. These fucking idiots. The whole family's retarded. I'm telling you. This one's not even related to them, but he's retarded too. They're all fucking retarded. Anyways, so I mean, obviously that kind of response, that's like the equivalent to showing up at the principal's office and telling the principal, it's like, why were you late today? I didn't feel like coming to class. I don't know. It's just like it's total like backwards hat loser assholery, right? And this is what I got, right? He's bald, by the way, and that's kind of, if that helps. But so I mean, this actually helps me, right? Because it's, if it was a situation where the landlord was really attentive and really making an effort and really, trying to, mitigate the problem, but just couldn't do it, right? I mean, number one, if that was the case, I wouldn't sue him, right? I'm not that kind of person. But I mean, the court's gonna say, or the board is gonna say, okay, well, you made an effort. It's just a shitty circumstance. There's nothing you can do. Maybe we can look at moving or something else, right? But when you have a situation where the landlord's just being a piece of shit, then none of that holds, right? Those are the situations when the board comes down hard, where the board says, you're building a new house, right? The board orders the construction of a new house. I mean, I'm exaggerating slightly, but my wall is going to get built. And who's going to pay for it? Smokers are. It's going to be a beautiful wall, I tell you. Beautiful wall. I should eat it. But yeah, sorry. So I mean, I kind of want to fill this out, but I don't have any pens. So I don't know if I want to go to the store, and I don't think I have any ink either, right? So it's more like I'm going to be thinking about it overnight. I may even print something off. So I might even type something up and print it off when I get there. I'm gonna use the library. I have a printer and everything. It's just I don't want to open up the ink cartridge. That's right. I do have ink. I don't want to open the cartridge for a couple of pieces of paper, right? So, I'll pick up some pens on the way to the library, print it off there, and mail it in the morning. I get paid in the morning. There will be money in my account by the time it gets there. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing for the night. Is going to be thinking about that for as long as I'm awake, anyways. But I should eat before I do anything else because I'm hungry. All right, so it's a little before 10 in the morning. Between 9:30 and 10, I'm not sure. It's a gross day, huh? It's April. Doesn't feel like April. This might be the last of this. Let's hope it is. It's supposed to warm up a little tomorrow. It's a few degrees above freezing. Not too far. Pretty close to it. I'm wearing a rain outfit because, yeah, it kind of seems like it's raining, but it isn't. I did not really sleep last night. I guess I was up around 3.
So I didn't finish eating, like really at all. I got like maybe 2 hours worth of sleep, something like that. I'm still wired. Because I finished my smoothie and just kind of had to pass out, but I couldn't really sleep. So what I did instead was I did my write-up for my tenant landlord thing. It's about 7 pages long. Well, 6 in a paragraph. Um, just over 6. And I'm gonna have to print it off and create a complex list of symbolic links. I just need to cross-reference it. Is it safe to leave the apartment to do this? I don't know. It better be. If it isn't, we've got bigger problems than I think. I very nearly considered forwarding this to the people, the property owners. The reason I wanted to forward the write-up to them is so that they could see why I'm suing them. Because they don't seem to understand what the actual concern is. They don't understand the law, basically, and like I'm not really suing them for what they did. Like I'm not. The crux of my complaint is not what happened before the other day. The crux of my complaint is what's happened over the last couple of days. Like it's like they fucked up hard, you know, and I kind of want to send them the information and be like, okay, no, you can't march downstairs and rip someone's ceiling fan out of the thing. You can't do that. You know, you can't yell at your tenants like that. You can't order your tenants around, you know? And when your tenant brings a concern to you, you can't just ignore them. When a tenant asks you what are you going to do about something, you can't say nothing, right? And, you know, I mean, that's what this is about. It's not about what they didn't do before, because I wasn't even in contact with them before. It's about all of the things they fucked up over the last couple of days. And like I said, I kind of want to get it to them, just so they know what not to do over the next couple of weeks. I'm gonna get some pens and some change here. So yeah, I mean, it's like, everything's a consequence of their non-reaction, right? It's not, you know, and the funny thing is that, like, had they just, like, not done anything, I wouldn't have bothered, right? I would have been just like, whatever, right? And I would have kept, I make this argument in my essay, and it is an essay. It's a short essay. Well, maybe kids nowadays it's not so short. Anyways, I made the argument in it that my intent the whole way was to, like, you know, try different mitigating tactics, you know, experiment with it, you know, does this work, does that work, you know? And, like, what's the point of calling the landlord, you know? Like that doesn't get anybody anywhere, right? It's like, if I ever came up with a solution and said, okay, this works, well, then you call the landlord, right? You don't call the landlord when you're trying to figure out what might work. You call the landlord when you know what's going to work and you do it, right? So it's just, it's hard to overstate just how stupid they were and what they did. Like, just utter, just base idiocy. You know, like, it's really hard to overstate it, because had they done just about anything else, then they wouldn't be facing what they're about to face. Um, the argument that I make is that because anything I do is going to be met with conflict and pushback, about the only thing that makes any sense for the court to order is the wall. You know, anything else that they order is going to be just met with you know, the cynicism and pushback, and they're not going to listen to anything else, right? Because ultimately, and I make this point as well, ultimately the problem here is, what is this, lots of cops? Good thing I've got my camera when there's all these cops here. I guess they're just hanging out. Anyways, I'm gonna get a coffee. Yeah, no, the Tim Hortons has a special on for $1 for this new kind of coffee they're selling called dark coffee. I actually mostly drink dark coffee and have for some time. Dark coffee is more like it's supposed to be a little bit more chocolatey, but oftentimes it isn't. I can't really tell the difference here. I think that probably what they're doing is they're probably trying to make it more like Starbucksy. That's probably because they tend to get made fun of a little bit. I believe we got a little bit of a. As soon as the coffee starts working, I gotta. See, this is why we should have more than 2 hands. Speaking of, you know, bioengineering, we need to splice ourselves with some centipedes. I don't want like 100 hands or 1,000 hands, but I could be like Vishnu. That could work out, you know. 5, 6, 7, 8. No, I mean those legends exist in India because for some reason the mutation rate is very high there. It kind of makes you wonder. Well, it's easy to point at like Union Carbide and Hitler, but at the same time, like Vishnu's a little bit older than Union Carbide. I mean, it could just be somebody imagining, right? I mean, it's a great story, you know, dude with 8 arms. But at the same time, it's like, you know, there is an explanation for this, and it doesn't necessarily require like a radiation spill or something, right? It doesn't require a chemical fuck up. If you're close to the origin of a gene pool, you should expect high mutation rates. That's how it works, right? I don't know what this guy's doing. I mean, you should expect it, right? So I mean, you would actually expect 8 arms in Africa. I'm gonna get yelled at by Africans, but I mean, you would if that's the, you know, East Africa specifically. So it kind of makes you wonder if, I mean, we don't have legends of people with 8 arms and really anywhere else except India, so maybe they got this a little bit messed up. I think it's perilous to make some of the conclusions that they're making. I mean, I'm not doubting the obviousness of you know, a common origin. It's just at some point you have to kind of deal with the fact that East Africans and Indians probably aren't genetically, I mean, it's very different combinations in some way, but at the same time they're also I mean, the theory is that the movement was to India first, and then there was movement out of India, and of course moving back into India. But um, you can also look at it the other way, right? Which is that we could possibly have multiple loci, right? It could be a more recent hotbed of diversity. I don't know. I think that there's been far too much migration over the last couple of thousand years, and there's been actually, in fact, a whole hell of a lot of migration into India over the last couple of thousand years. It's kind of hard to make these arguments, right? Like you can look at the Middle East is the best example, right? It's in fact the reality is that all the people in the Middle East are pretty much the same. They just have slightly different proportions, right? So this group has 40% of an allele, and this group has 35% of an allele, and then like you're basing an ethnicity on very minor variations, right? I don't know how I got here. Where am I going? I'm going to the library. Okay. At least I know where I'm going. The situation is like, let's let all these people go here. What was I talking about? Yeah, no, it's like it's. Had they done anything else, but the precise things that they did, just like clearly designed to oppress me. Like I was thinking about this, like I think that the kind of easiest, most succinct way to describe the situation is that like I'm not doing anything to oppress anyone. I'm not infringing on anyone's rights. I've got a fan at my front door. Whose rights am I infringing upon? Want to explain that to me? But I've got this entire family of people trying to infringe upon my rights for no discernible reason other than to piss me off. So I think it probably kind of speaks to sort of the kind of a broader criticism that I've had. It's like, you might want to support smokers or whatever, but I'm not the one infringing people's rights. And I mean, it's not even them. I don't think that it's like I haven't had any conflict with them. It's the family that owns the place, and that's a proxy for something. I don't know exactly what they're pissed off about, but whatever it is, they're trying. They might have thought that they had an easy out on this, but it's backfiring, and it's gonna backfire bad. It's gonna backfire hard. So the argument I make is that there's nothing, like there's no use in coming up with any other kind of remedy, because it's not gonna get they're not gonna take it seriously. No, and I'm gonna fight for months over whether I can put a fan up. I'm gonna fight for months on whether I can put a filter on the wall. Is it gonna work? I don't know if it's gonna work, right? I could fight for 6 months to get a filter on the wall and it doesn't do shit, right? That's the. I mean, that's kind of pushback I'm dealing with. That's what they're broadcasting to me here. Again, I asked them, what are you going to do to mitigate? And the answer is nothing. Point blank. How will you help resolve the problem? I'm not doing shit. Exactly. Like not in those exact words, but basically precisely what I was told, right? So, like, had they showed any willingness to do anything, which they are required to do by law, They are required to take my concern seriously. And that is what the judge is going to base the decision upon. Did you make a good faith effort? Or did you just tell your tenant to fuck off? Because from what I can see, you just told your tenant to fuck off. And that's, like I said, they did everything wrong. It's almost like if you're going to write the book on what not to do. But you have to keep in mind that, like, they're all retarded. And that's, like, I'm not exaggerating. Like, how many times have I said this, right? When I say they're retarded, I'm not insulting them. It's not like I'm exaggerating it. No, they are literally retarded, every single one of them. I mean, even the one, well, I don't know the one that, I just don't know. I've spoken to her for like 10 minutes. But even the one that she married, he seems retarded too. Like, every single one of them, right? So it's, what do you do in a situation like that? I mean, as I pointed out, the crux of the problem seems to be that they don't seem to accept that secondhand smoke is a problem. They don't seem to see that as a health issue. And it's just like, what year is it? You don't see secondhand smoke as an issue that needs to be mitigated? Like, what planet do you live on, right? So what do you do in a situation like this? I mean, like, this has nothing to do with it, but just kind of an example of how retarded they are. Like, they've actually given me pushback for recycling. Oh, you crazy hippies recycling? Like, I get the impression that what I'm dealing with, and I mean, I'm not certain for sure, but I've heard them talk about going to church and stuff. I get the impression that I'm dealing with your kind of classic lunkhead religious fundamentalists, right? And the fact that they're retarded is kind of, just makes them fit the stereotype that much worse, right? I mean, we all know when we think of our favorite Christians, we think of someone who's basically retarded. The fact that these ones are literally retarded, just it just fits, that much better kind of thing, right? But that is basically it. The kinds of people that think global warming is a hoax. That recycling is a pet cause for extreme liberals. Probably think the gay agenda is out to destroy them. Like these kinds of morons, right? Like, this is what we're dealing with, and they probably never got the memo that smoking causes cancer. Probably just and that some secondhand smoke causes, asthma and asthma-related conditions, as well as cancer and emphysema and heart disease and all the other things that you get from it. They probably did not get the memo. They just don't know that because, or if they do, they don't know it, right? Like, somebody told them that, but they're the kinds of people that probably haven't read a book since they were in junior high school, that kind of thing, right? So, I mean, this is what I'm dealing with. And what do you do? Right? I was trying to be as reasonable as I possibly could. I didn't even contact them. I just went about, doing kinds of little simple things and experimenting as to what it is I could do to try to make the issue better. And they had to go and be retarded. And this is the problem that we have in front of us. So, the only way out of this is to jump to the end point, right? Like, what is the most extreme answer possible And the most extreme answer possible is to build a fucking wall. Anything else is going to lead to bitching and complaining, and I'm going to be filing reports every other day, and like let's get this done once. Let's get this fixed properly, and then they can go shut the fuck up. That's the way to do this, right? So yeah. Like, you can't imagine what it's like how surreal it is to have your landlord knock on your door and tell you that they are not going to address your concern. When your concern is like volumes of case law on it. You have to almost wonder, do you need, should you have to take a course before you can own property or before you can rent property? Like, it's a part of the problem that we just let anyone rent property. Should you have to go to school before you're allowed to rent property? Like, indicate that you've learned something about what you have to do if you're renting property? Because it's like, secondhand smoke is not a new issue. Like I say, there's volumes of case law on it. How can you be so ignorant as to think that you can just tell a tenant that you're not going to do anything about it? Like, did you wake up in 1972? Like, what the fuck? Anyways, I need to go here, do the things at the library, and I want to go to the post office first of all. It's I don't know how much the money order is going to cost. We'll find out when we get there. Maybe I'll leave it open. I'll write it in. Okay, that's easy. Yeah. I'm frustrated, but new computers at the Windsor Public Library. Windows 7. Last time I was in here, I think it was actually it was XP, but it was like really old XP. That's good for the Windsor Public Library. Well, it's done. I'm home. I sent it. I picked up some poutine on the way home because I ended up walking by the poutine shop a few times, and I was just thinking, I haven't had poutine in a long time, but it was good. This is actually kind of a crazy poutine store. They do all kinds of things on it. I've never been there before though, so I wanted to just try it base. And I mean, I was craving, I was jonesing for just poutine, right? I wasn't jonesing for poutine with, mushrooms and bacon. I was just jonesing for poutine. So maybe next time I'll try and throw something else in there. Looks like a bit of a healthy mix. Well, as healthy as poutine can be. But no, they had some it was like poutine with green peas. It's like I wouldn't want to stand next to you when you're done eating that. It's a tornado warning. A tornado in the hot air, especially when it's cold out, I guess, huh? Okay, I think the canned laughter is done now. Okay. Ah! Oh dear. I haven't slept in a while. I don't know, and I had a big coffee. Oh my god. It just kind of clicked that I just had a giant cup of coffee. Maybe I'll sleep one of these days. I don't know. I'm gonna try. I can't sleep too much because I gotta go pay my rent, and this is gonna be this is gonna be, I don't know. Are they gonna take my rent? I mean, they can't pretend that I didn't pay it, and then, but I mean, I've never done this before. I'm gonna ask for a rent receipt. I've never actually done that before, but this is, I mean, the way the system works nowadays is that it's like, I can prove I paid my rent by going to the bank, and in fact, I can give you a scan of the check from your bank account when it was cashed, right? It's just like, but at the same time, it's like,
what I'm concerned about is the idea of him taking the rent check and just like ripping it up and being like, she never paid rent. And then I have to like argue that, right? But I mean, it's a basis of something, right? So I mean, obviously they have to accept the rent, right? They can't just like not take my rent. Um, and they are obligated to give me a receipt if I ask. So that's how that's gonna have to go. See, here's the thing: if we were dealing with a reasonable person here, um, well, if we were dealing with a reasonable person, we wouldn't be in this mess. But um, everything else aside, um, if there was a reasonable person at the end of the process, they would be able to look at the situation and say, yeah, this is some messy shit. Here's your rent receipt, right? I don't blame you for asking for it, but that's not what's gonna happen. I'm gonna get some guttural, like, and I'm gonna get stomping of feet and yelling and screaming, and then his daughter will come out and she'll start screaming, and it's like, how did I end up in this like white trash nightmare? It's exactly what it is. I'm in like a nightmare of white trash. I'll tell you how I ended up in this situation. Is I picked the cheapest fucking place I could find. What was I expecting? I don't know. But I need to try and sleep because it's been far too long. I'll have to get up every once in a while and see if I'm knocked on the door twice already today and he doesn't seem to be home, so I don't know. We'll figure out what's next as it comes. But that shit is mailed. It's mailed. And we'll see what happens. I think they said 3 weeks. The closest tenant board is in London, Ontario. I went to London once to see a doctor. It's about a 2-hour bus ride. I didn't see a lot of it, but it seemed nice. I got off like right near the campus, and it seems like I'm always a block from campus wherever I want to go, right? I went to Ann Arbor, I'm a block from campus. When I go to Detroit, I barely get off campus. And when I went to London, I was basically, like, I walked a little bit further. It ended up being about an hour walk from the bus station. But I mean, it was mostly through campus. And it seemed nice, actually. It was a cold. Oh, it was in November. It was a cold, yeah. No, sorry, it was December. Yeah. It was warm for December, but cold overall. We were walking through giant puddles. It was the wind. That's right, it was the wind. My one and only time to London. Well, I mean, I've driven past London, but London's a bit bigger than Windsor, but not by much. A couple 100,000 people. Maybe a little strange that they put the office there, in fact, because London is not far from Toronto. And there's like 3 offices or 4 offices in Toronto. You'd think that if they're going to put like a Southwestern Ontario office, they'd put it in Windsor. Because if you're in London, then you can get to one of the offices and around there a lot easier. Whatever. I mean, London is still a good way from Toronto. I should be careful. I think when you're talking about Guelph, Guelph is basically Toronto. Waterloo is basically Toronto. Kitchener basically Toronto. London's still a bit further out. But still, I mean, you'd think it'd be it would make more sense to put it in Windsor, I think. But I don't make the rules. Anyways, um, obviously I'm hoping then that they schedule the hearing. There's apparently 4 ways we can do this. We can do this video conference. We can do this phone. Video conference or by phone would make the most sense for me. Or we can do it the old-fashioned way, which is in person. People do things in person. Crazy thing. Crazy thing to think. Or we can go real old mail, which is snail mail. Did I say old mail? Real old mail. I'm tired. You can go real far back, and we can be pen pals. I can be pen pals with the ministry. If we do it over email, I might even enjoy that if it's fast enough. I mean, if I get a fast enough response, we can have a big discussion over email. I'd probably fuck it up by like being snotty, but if I already there are some snotty parts in my, but I mean like they're necessary. I avoided calling him a retard. I used politically correct language. Um, I did. I don't know. I know I should try and sleep a little bit, so I'm going to. Well, it's now 11 o'clock on Friday night, and I haven't had more than a few hours worth of sleep since. I guess I woke up on Tuesday night. I don't even remember. I tried to sleep Wednesday afternoon. Couldn't. So I've been awake a long time. I've been awake all day Wednesday, all day Thursday, and now all day Friday. It's 3 days. Plus, well, it's all day Wednesday, literally all day Tuesday. Sorry, all day Wednesday, all day Thursday, and almost all day Friday, literally. And then a few hours on, yeah. So I've been awake around, it's what, 24, 48, 70, around 80 hours, give or take. A little less. More like 75. And I still can't sleep. I spent the entire afternoon trying to sleep. Ended up with a headache. And like I'm wide awake, I'm wired. So I'm gonna get up and try to eat. But let's talk about what happened this afternoon first. It was around 6. I mean, I've been in. This is like the third day in a row too that I've been in bed for like 9 hours and I can't sleep. Obviously I'm anxious and frustrated. Like I say, maybe if I get something to eat, it'll be enough to like make me pass out, kind of thing. What happened this evening? The sun was still up. I didn't check the time. I'm gonna guess it was around 6 or so. Some cops did show up at the door, along with one of the property owners, who demonstrated that they don't understand the tenant agreement. They don't understand the fire code. I asked them a few questions, and when they made it clear that they didn't understand, like I asked them, well, doesn't the fact that this is in litigation mean that she can't ask? And the cop actually suggested that if I listen to them, I'll be in better standing in the court procedures. If you can believe that. It's ongoing litigation, and they say I should dismantle it because I'll be in better. It's just a complete lack of understanding. And I don't know how these people get their jobs, but it's just like it's it's no training, right? Like I don't know what they teach you in these police foundations courses, but they're not teaching you basic legal theory, right? Like they couldn't have been more wrong. Nor was the fan chair contraption blocking the door. Like it wasn't a fire code violation. It wasn't a lease violation. But I mean, it's not up to the cops um, to enforce these kinds of things. But it's certainly unusual to see a landlord basically call the cops in for muscle um, in order to enforce what they want. The irony is, again, that the truth is the other way around. That this is another example of intimidation and harassment and preventing me from enjoying enjoying the unit. I did take the contraptions down because I don't see any use in arguing with cops that don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So, I mean, I've got an ignorant landlord and an ignorant set of cops. Where am I going through this by, pushing for conflict through it? There's no point. There's no positive end. You it's the old saying, you can't argue with idiots. So what's the use, right? But needless to say, the cops should have actually been telling her that she cannot modify the situation because it's undergoing litigation. That's actually the correct thing that should have happened. The cops should have told her not to touch the fans because it's undergoing litigation. In the short run, I'm giving her the opportunity to commit to installing a fan on the wall. While her arguments are spurious, frivolous, really, the basis of her argument would collapse if the fans were mounted on the wall, right? That's something that she can claim is taking good faith in mitigating the problem of the smoke. So I'm giving her a massive opportunity here. I do not expect that she will take it. I expect that she will drown herself, that she will hang herself with her own rope here. And I can use that as further evidence to the tribunal that the landlord is making no effort whatsoever to mitigate the problem. I'm going to wait until I get a response, or I'm going to give her a little bit of time to respond anyways. If I get a poor response, I'm going to try to find ways to position the fans using something other than the chair. There's some kind of a box over top of the unit. I may be able to fashion the fan upon that. And there's other things that I can do to get around. Again, while the claims are spurious, I'm willing to say, all right, whatever, and find ways to ensure that the law cannot even be misunderstood. Because, I mean, right now they don't... See, they could be misunderstanding it on purpose, right? But if I don't even think they are. I think they're just stupid. So if we can find a way to put the fan up so that there's no way to accidentally misunderstand what the law says, then we can go from there. But I mean, I'm going to give her the opportunity to deny my request to install a fan, so that I can go ahead and use that for my advantage. We're gonna go in there and take some pictures in a few minutes. Like I said, I'm gonna try to get something to eat first, and if I'm lucky, I'll fall asleep. I've been in bed, but I haven't slept, so the vlog is continuing from like Tuesday. This is the truth of it. It's a long saga. But until I can sleep, this is reality. Let's get something to eat. It's 5 a.m. Again, I ended up with about 2 or 3 hours worth of sleep. That was it. I finished most of my... It almost worked out the way I wanted to. I finished most of my poutine, and then tried to sleep, but didn't. So, and now I'm awake. I think we should go ahead and try to do this walkthrough here to explain the different changes of things and what it is that I'm going to do to try to get around it. I did not get a response about the wall fan yet. I'm going to give it another day or two. If I don't get anything by Monday, well, let's have a look outside and we can talk about what's going to go on out there. What I'm going to do next is really mostly for legal reasons, but we'll put it on the vlog anyways. Again, I haven't slept, so I'm still on I was Tuesday's vlog, I guess. So I'm setting up the demonstration. I should point out first, it's very cold in here. And second, that the smell is it's kind of like a very weak strawberry sort of smell. I was in here a few hours ago, and it's the same thing. I'm not sure what the source of that smell is. It might almost be flavored tobacco, which is like, I hope that's not what it is because that's even worse. This isn't I'm not complaining about the smell, I'm complaining about the effects of the secondhand smoke. The smell is just a proxy for it. No, it might, on the other hand, be coming from some air fresheners. I was told she would put some down, but I can't find them. If they're around, I don't know where they are. They were said to be battery-powered air fresheners, and I don't see any around here. So if that is indeed what happened, I can't locate them, but I can smell them. There we go. Okay. So I'm just going to take just the chair out here for a few minutes and just show you the different positions that things were at, and why I actually was not in contravention of any lease agreement or the fire code at all. Like I said, this is mostly for legal reasons should it come up. But as I've noted, I've decided that despite the fact that I'm clearly not in contravention of anything, I'm willing to, it's not, putting a fan on a chair at the base of the stairs was never the best thing to do, right? It was always a temporary solution, and I suppose that it's done what it needed to do, which was generate enough attention to the problem to get a better solution. And so, what is a better solution? Well, a better solution might be installing a fan on the wall there, like directly in front of me. If I put a fan on the wall, like I said, I wasn't breaking the fire code anyways, but it would be more aesthetically pleasing if I can't get them to do that while the litigation is pending. I could try to put a fan up over there where those in fact, lights are going to be used for me here. I probably should have just done that in the first place. Okay. Yeah, so I've asked them to install, if they're going to, see, this is the kind of legal argument that is going to go over their heads, and it shouldn't. They should not. This should not be difficult for them to get, right? But if they're going to remove the fan that I put there, then they should replace that with another fan. If they claim that the fan is breaking the fire code, which it obviously wasn't, if they claim it's in contravention to the lease, which it clearly isn't because it wasn't blocking
the sign in front of my door. I mean, like, if we actually went to court, I would win that court case. I know that. That's not like there's no ambiguity there, right? They're clearly wrong. But if they are going to demand that I not do something, then I mean, not only do they have a duty of care, but they're obligated by basic common sense that they need to replace that with something, right? So, sorry, make the sensor here. One of the things that they could do is they could put, this is full of like, it looks like a magic mushroom. I'm not joking. Okay. So, am I on now? Soon. Yeah. So what's one of the, so I've requested that, right? And again, if they refuse to do that, then that's just another piece of evidence that suggests that they are not making a reasonable effort to address the concern of secondhand smoke, which again is not a frivolous concern. It's not it's a serious health hazard, right? If I don't get a response on that, I mean, one of the things that's in the T2 that I filled out is a request to stop doing that under the Section 22 of the Red Tenancy Act, which says that they can't prevent me from enjoying the apartment. And again, the case law, the volumes of case law that exist are built on that tort. They don't know. They just don't know. They have no idea, right? So I mean, but I mean, if that doesn't go through, in the short term, that's the one thing that I'm certain that I'm going to win, right? I might not get the rent abatement I'm asking for. I might not get the wall, but I'm absolutely certain that they're going to rule that they have to do something to increase the airflow in the space. They can't just not do anything. The other thing, in the short term, I'm thinking that maybe I can put a fan up on top of this. What is this thing exactly? I don't even know. Dual light. I guess it's a floodlight. There's enough space there. I want to clean the fan before I do anything, but there's enough space there that I should be able to mount it. Just sit it there in between that, and kind of pull it over. You want to tell me that putting a fan there is blocking the fire exit? Well, I think we can all have a nice laugh at that. So, this shouldn't be necessary, but when you're dealing with idiots, sometimes you have to idiot-proof, right? I have to idiot-proof the problem, the situation. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the next little bit, because I can't sleep still. First thing I want to do, like I say, is I'm gonna put the chair out here. Well, actually, there's no use in stopping and starting. Let's just do it. So, when I first started with this, I had the chair right about here like that. Now, I might admit that you could make some argument that is partially obstructing, right? But I mean, and I have plenty of footage of myself walking through here. Am I really obstructed? Do I see a meaningful obstruction here? I don't think so. Okay. But I actually recognize myself that the walkway has to be clear. So over time, I put it back a little bit. That had the added benefit of, I actually noticed that putting the fan on a little bit of an angle made it a little bit more effective, right? So when you put the chair back that much further, at that point, it's pretty obvious that there isn't actually an obstruction here. And if you're trying to claim that there's an obstruction here, what you're doing is you're being an asshole, okay? And that's exactly what happened, is people decided to be assholes. So when I say I moved it by 45 degrees, what I meant is this. Then at this point, well, clearly, there was nothing even approximating an obstruction. If you think that's an obstruction, I think you need to learn what the word obstruction means, because it's clearly not an obstruction at all. And that's the way that it was. But when, I've been over this, like, what do you do when faced with an obvious truth and people deny it? You know, landlord denies the obvious truth. The idiot cops deny the obvious truth. It's just like, what reaction is there to do besides, okay, you're all idiots, you're all wrong. We could go to court, but let's try to idiot-proof the situation instead. So that's just a very, very simple demonstration. I mean, this is a condensation of a period of meaningless conflict that was generated by people other than myself. But I mean, this is the basics of it. If you think that putting a chair, like, am I going to have difficulty getting out of the fire? I can tell you that that chair is not going to prevent me from making it to safety up the stairs if there's a fire. I have a 100% certainty that there is no way that that chair is going to prevent me from making it to safety if I think my life is in danger due to a fire in the basement. That's completely absurd. And there's not really any serious possibility that a judge is going to not see the absurdity of the situation, because we haven't gone full Kafka yet. Okay, we're maybe 40% Kafka, 50% Kafka. Maybe the day that we go full Kafka, somebody could see that as an obstruction, but we're not there yet, and hopefully we never get there. Okay. Like I said, I'm going to clean the fans, and I am going to wait a day or two. I'll give her till Monday to give me an answer as to what if she's planning on mounting a wall fan here. If she wants to put a wall fan there to essentially do the same thing that the fans that were there were doing, and she can just run it up into the outlet there, then that's, that's going to cost them more money, but it's a preferable solution. And I mean, like I said, do I really want, cheap fans sitting on a chair at the foot of the door? No, what I want is to be able to walk up and down the stairs without coughing, right? So that's another, that's the immediate concern is, will she accept her duty of care and respond to the request to put a fan in order to mitigate the issue of environmental tobacco smoke? The volumes of case law say that she's obligated by her duty of care to at least make a good faith effort to do something about that. And I'm gonna send her some case law, because like she's gonna get hit over the head with a sack of bricks in the next couple of weeks when she sees what the actual law actually says. As the litigation goes through, because everything that she's presenting to me indicates that she has no understanding of what she's doing, and that when she actually gets, the reality of what the tort is, the reality of the case law in the situation, she should at least have a little bit of pre-warning, so that when it comes up, she can react to it a little bit, right? So she's not completely in shock. So it depends on I could be exaggerating it, but it depends on the reaction I get. Like I said, when I was standing out here a couple of days ago, and I asked her husband, I presume it's her husband, they have the same last name, um, and it's different than their last name here. Um, when he, like I asked him, what are you going to do in good faith? And he's just like, nothing. I don't care. And it's just like, the only way you could react to that in that way is if you have no idea what the law actually says. Is if you're operating in this like 19th century classical liberal mindset that thinks that like law is governed by contracts. It's like you're stuck in 1850, and you're completely unaware of the last 200 years worth of legal development that essentially makes contract law worthless because it's subject to so many conditions that are imposed by the state, right? I'm not even really particularly in favor of this, but it's what exists, and in this case it's working in my favor, so I'm going to use it. But it's just, I suspect that if I was to go and, if I was to present the term duty of care, they would not know what that means. They've never heard of that before, right? They just don't know. But this is the immediate thing. Like I say, and in fact, I'm kind of giving them a second chance, right? Because if they say, okay, we'll install a fan on the wall here in a way that abides by the fire code, because that doesn't. But I mean, it is a better. I mean, I'd rather have it on the wall too. I think everybody would rather have a fan on the wall than on a chair for the stairs. I think that's a no-brainer, right? So I mean, if they're going to do that, then but if they say they're not, then they're just adding to the reasons I'm suing them. And like I say, the amazing thing is that they don't even know that. They don't even know why they're getting sued, right? And that would be. It's not so horrible. I mean, it would be expected if I was talking about the land, sort of the live-in superintendent and his daughter. I mean, I wouldn't expect them to understand any of this. But this is supposed to be somebody that Anyways, I pointed this out yesterday. It's like there should really be some kind of legal standard attached to owning property. You shouldn't just let anyone own property. You should have to write some kind of set of tests. You should have to pass some kind of course so that you understand what the duties of owning property are, what the obligations are. You have rights as a landowner, but you also have obligations, right? And that's the part that's missing here, is any concept of obligation, which I mean, it's indicative of our broader society, right? People don't think they have any obligation to anything. They don't understand that part of it. This is, I mean, it's a function of, not even a reflection of, it's a function of capitalism, right? But I mean, if we can pop that right there, then that's good faith, right? That's a reasonable effort to mitigate the problem. And if they put that there on their own, that will help their argument against building the wall, right? If they say, no, I'm not doing anything, and you can rot in hell, which is what I'm expecting, then they're strengthening my argument for the wall, because they're indicating that they're not doing anything in good faith. Like I say, they have a duty, whether they choose to acknowledge that or not. I'll put that back in there. I'm gonna, like I say, I gotta clean this. The fact that it's been sitting out here, it's attracted a lot of shit. So, clean the chairs, clean the fans, and then we'll see. Well, I'm not gonna do it today. I'm gonna give them some time. But I'm pretty sure I can probably just pop it up there. And then, like I say, it's like, how are you possibly gonna argue that that's in contravention of any fire code or any property or any lease? It's, you can't. As ridiculous and wrong as their argument is here, it doesn't even exist there. And I think it might even be more effective if it's up a little bit higher. So yeah, that's the morning for me. Yeah, you know what? It's April 1st. I wanted to wait until. Well, I spent the entire month of March waiting until. In fact, I spent all of February and all of March waiting to get done. Although I did some cleaning in February, but I spent all of March waiting to get done what I'm doing before I clean. And now it's April. I need to do some cleaning anyways, so that's what I'm going to do today. I'm awake again. I don't know how this is even possible, but I'm going to spend the day cleaning until I fall asleep. That's going to be the plan. It's supposed to warm up today, right? I thought it was. It seems unusually. It seems unexpectedly cold right now. How am I going to warm up? Yeah. It's at least seasonal until. Okay. So it should be at least seasonal this week. I should be able to get some air in here. This is kind of annoying because I wanted to wait. Trying to get away from the fan a little bit. I wanted to wait until I could get kind of an answer with the smoke before I do the cleaning, right? Because if I end up doing a bunch of cleaning in here and I just get an onset of secondhand smoke tomorrow, it's not a complete waste of time. You gotta clean things anyways. I mean, everything is dirty eventually. I mean, by that logic, all cleaning would be a waste of time, right? But I mean, it's not quite. I don't want to say it's a complete waste of time. I need to clean in here at some point anyways. But I kind of wanted to. Part of this was getting that out of the way. For example, I'm going to need to do some laundry. I guess I'm going to have to do it today. And I really wanted to like I said, not worry about it kind of thing. As I'm coming in and out. I wanted to have the issue dealt with, do my laundry, clean everything up, and then go from there. Clearly, it's not quite how things are going to work out. I guess it is getting a little bit colder in here. I'll put the heat down a little. But I guess it's coming back up because it's cold. So I mean, all of this is, again, this is another situation. It's another example of how it's, kind of affecting me and my enjoyment of the premises and everything else, right? So, but it's, you know what? If it turns into a longer term problem, I can always clean again later. How about that? So that's the thing for the morning. I gotta clean. If you're curious about the scope of the issue, this is the dirt that I pulled off of the chair. Okay. From merely sitting out there. Right? So the chair was sitting out in the hall. That one was sitting out there for maybe 6 weeks, 7 weeks. That one was only sitting out there for a couple of days. And I thought I'm going to put it right back over here. I'm going to put this one in. I'm going to put this one back where it was, which was in my storage space. I haven't discarded the vinegar. In fact, I'm going to put the vinegar in the storage space. I'll have to find out if anybody even knows it's there. But I'm pulling this off the chair. This is tar and smoke, like just from the chair. So we can get a better light in here. Just from the chair. I mean, it's not. But I mean, it's noticeable, right? And it's just from a few weeks. If like it builds up, right? And that's the problem. It like slowly builds up, and eventually you notice that, wait a second, my couch smells like an ashtray. What the fuck, right? This was with the fan blowing as well. Um, this one was a lot worse, like orders of magnitude worse. But like, I'm actually surprised that there's anything on, because this one was really only out there for a few days. Like that's it, and you can pick up a gummy tar on it after a few days. You know, so people telling me that this isn't really a problem. No, it's, you can see it. Like if I was, in fact, I probably will go out there and try and clean the walls down a little. But yeah, I'm gonna have to. It's gonna be part of the process, is cleaning the walls down. But I mean, it's to suggest, and we'll see. I mean, I guess I'll use probably the same stuff. It's just, what is this, Lysol? Yeah, so Lysol wipe. Um, well, I mean, that's surprising to me. Let's see what it looks like when we get the shit off the wall. And in fact, let's. This is something else that's useful to record. Because yeah, we can get some evidence out of that. Okay. All right. I just wrote a bit of a rant as well. So just to stop and start. I'm irritated with myself, and I kind of want to get that point across. I'll put this down. It's pretty much dried out now, anyways. Maybe I'll dip it in some vinegar, assuming that's what vinegar does. It cleans things, right? Even cleans your fries. It does. Take a look at how white your potatoes are after you put the vinegar on them. That's true. Starch away. That's what they should call vinegar. Starch away. I'm irritated with myself. I want to fight. I'm a feisty person. I'm all about class conflict. I have rights, and I want to assert those rights. And I'm kind of pissed off at myself for pulling back. Not necessarily for pulling it out when, I mean, she showed up with some meathead thugs, right? So, I mean, when I'm gonna bring a toothbrush to a gunfight? I'm not suggesting they would have shot me, but I mean, it's just, I didn't really have much of a, my real choice last night was either that I could have my property confiscated, or I could bring it inside, right? And when I'm presented with that kind of a choice, it's a non-choice, right? That's a Hobson's choice. I have to bring the property inside. What I'm irritated with myself at is not putting it right back out once they left, but I mean, she left me with it wasn't an eviction notice; it was a warning, right? And I've been over this. We saw it. We saw that clearly there's no obstruction. Clearly there's no fire code issue. Like, they're clearly full of shit, right? And my instincts are, okay, if you're gonna throw bullshit at me, and I know it's bullshit, and I don't even know why you're doing it. Let's have this, struggle let's fight this in court, and I'll win, and my rights are asserted, and you know, it, the universe is saved for another day, right? That's what my instincts are, right? They're to fight back against all forms of oppression, to resist anyone who's trying to infringe upon your rights at all times. Fight oppression wherever you see it, right? And the fact that you show up with thugs, these hired goons, just exacerbates that instinct. But the actual reality of it is that I'm. If I didn't have another avenue to fight on, I think that if that was my only way to fight, then I would, right? And I would say, no, that's it. You cannot, there are laws in this province, and you can't break them like that, right? Um, the lease is less important than the Residency Act, and what's in the legislation and what's in the case law is going to overpower what's in the lease, even if I don't agree that I'm breaking the lease, but even if I did, what's in the Residency Acts is more powerful, right? The lease isn't really, it's not truly legally binding, and in the sense that the lease is legally binding, it's the sense that it lays down provisions in various legislative codes, right? The real law is determined by the legislature and not by the contract, and the contract is only valid insofar as it upholds the law that already exists, right? You can't sign a contract that is against the law, and you can't sign away your rights, and et cetera, right? So, even if they were right, I would still have that avenue, and if the judge ruled in my favor, it wouldn't matter if I broke the lease or not, right? So those are my instincts, and I'm very strongly driven by that. It's just, what happens? I know I'm right. Okay, so it's not like there's really a large amount of risk or anything. It's just I know I'm right. I know that if I go through the process and I get halfway's reasonable, any decent excuse for a judge will rule in my favor. I know that, right? But what if I get something that's not a decent excuse for a judge, right? What if I get the worst fucking judge in the world? What if I get somebody that smokes 3 packs a day, right? Works for the fucking tobacco companies. What happens if I get that? And of course it's possible, right? It's absolutely possible. Then they rule in favor of eviction, and I look pretty fucking stupid, don't I? I put a fan in the hall, I got evicted for it. After they told me repeatedly to take it down. That would make me look pretty stupid, wouldn't it? I could appeal it, but only to a certain point. And it's not worth that, right? And it's, like I say, it's especially not worth it because we have litigation on another front. I don't want the judge to rule on the question of whether or not putting a fan in the hallway is something that I can get evicted for. That's not the issue that I want to be litigating on, right? it's not the issue that I want to put in front of a court. The issue that I want to put in front of a court is whether or not the property owners are carrying out their duty of care, taking reasonable steps to mitigate the problem, and if the court should order them to do so if they're not. Right? So I know that like I said, last night was a Hobson's choice. I had to take it down. You can take it out or have it taken down. Well, of course I'll take it out, right? But my instincts are to put it back. And I think I should put it back. Even with my demand that they put a fan on the wall, or my request that they put a fan on the wall. The lifeline I'm throwing to them to put a fan on the wall. Even with that aside, I still want to put it out. I want to assert my rights. I want to fight the fuckers. I want to push back against any kind of oppression. It's just right now that's not smart. And I'm going to do it smart. Even if it is offending my principles and I don't like it. I'm going to do it, but I'm not happy about it, right? It's kind of my little soliloquy here. And yes, there is something rotten in the hallway. Anyways, back to cleaning. This is the same wipe from the chair. I got lost on the internet for a bit, and it dried out completely, but look at it. In fact, you might not even really be able to see it, but I think you can certainly see that it's pretty gray anyways. Anyways, like I said, I got stuck on it for a bit, but I need to actually clean now. I've just spent a long time trying to figure out how I'm going to open this fan up. These screws came out nice and easy, but there's like hex screws in here, and they're the worst kind of hex screws too. I have the right bit, because I need the ones with like a little hole in it, but I can't get something that I can get enough torque with. There's like nothing. Only other thing I can think of is, actually, you know what? I'm gonna try one more thing. This is my last. Okay. If I can tape that on in my work. Can I get that in there? Yeah. Okay. That's the only thing that. Okay. I pulled up my drill set. I bought this drill set years ago. Because I was trying to build, I meant to build shelves, and I never got around to building the shelves, and it's been sitting like I just opened it. It's like the cheapest drill you can imagine, right? It's just meant to do what it needs to do. It was like $20 or something, but I mean, it's just... Okay, so I'm gonna try this. It's like the only thing I can... my last chance. Let's hope it works. Okay, so I believe that the tool I need is called a ratchet. I think that that's what that is. This is an Allen key with a piece of tape around it. And I was able to get the bit stuck in there. But if the issue was I didn't have enough torque, I still don't have enough torque. This isn't... now it's stuck, so... I don't even know how to get it out of there besides find a ratchet. At least I found the right bit. It took me a few tries to find the right bit. There's lots of different that'll fit in the top of the drill, but I can't get it in there. At least I don't think. It'll fit in here, but I mean this is essentially what I want. Sorry, my finger was there. This is essentially what I want, right? It's just too big. Where is it? Maybe my options are not exhausted after all. Let me try. It's because it's not duct tape. That's the problem. living a block from the dollar store is useful, and I had a few dollars left from yesterday, so I thought, why not? I got this thing here. I knew that that was too fat and it wasn't gonna work, but it did at least let, like, I got the bit out, right? It let me actually, you know, get in there and grab the bit. But if you look, like, you can see the problem, right? The bit fits in there, but the, like, it's, and if I was to pop it out, this one isn't the right size, so it won't get stuck like the last one did. But if I do this, and I can kind of put it in here, it's not, like, it's not stretching long enough, right? So I need to find a way to get something like this that's not so fat. I kind of knew that that was what was going to happen, but, like, I don't have anything like this, right? Like of all the things I've got here. So now I have something that I can use for this anyways. What I'm probably going to need to get is, these are like special hex key screwdrivers. I bought these came with this, which is basically what, see, this is the tool that I need as a ratchet, right? It's just, it's too fat. And it's the same thing, right? I just need a smaller one. It's kind of sucks that I can't, you know what, it could be that I just don't know how to use it. Although it seems like I just broke it. Thereby demonstrating that I don't know how to use it. But I think I'm done with this. I think I'm just going to get the cleaning. Maybe I'll have a stroke of brilliance, but I think I'm done. We're doing quite a bit of cleaning in here, but look at the railings. Actually, I don't even know if you can tell. It's just like cake. This is probably years worth of just settled dust particles. It's like, this railing is like pure cancer. It was gonna have to get cleaned one way or the other eventually. So I might as well do it now. I mean, I want to vacuum in here too. And the good news, and there's some good news, is that the walls in here were comparably clean. I cleaned the walls out there, they were disgusting. I vacuumed the stairs, which I've been here 4 years almost, and nobody has ever vacuumed those stairs. I picked up a lot of dust and a lot of dirt from there, but the actual walls in the apartment here, I just went all the way over that wall, the door even, and I've smoked behind that door. It's been a while, but I did, and I didn't, like, I picked up hardly anything in here. So that's actually a little bit of good news. I might be a little bit irritated by some of the smoke. I'm gonna wipe down these couches too. I've never done that. But it doesn't, like, it's not building up, and that's or if it is, it's building up very slowly. So that's at least a little bit of a positive on that. Seems like the biggest issue is the hall space, and trying to get mitigated in that space there. Although, I mean, I have smelled it down here, right? So it's not like it's nothing, but it seems to be more of a just a smell issue rather than a health issue. If it was a health issue, I would have picked some shit off the wall, right? So that's good. That's good. It is that time again. First, it's time to change the battery. Stalled on me again. So let's try number 3. I may only get 2 at the end of it. This is time to put things in the bag. How's this doing? This is pretty full. That's how it is. I'm getting there, and I've known that for a while. This bag, we're well over a year now. This stuff has been sitting here since, you know what, I think that this is, I think I did a bag at the end of February. I can't remember. So I think I've already, like, we're already past a year, but this is a big entry. Not because it's been well, it has been a while, but that's not really why. The reason this is a big entry is because I was very bad with junk food over this period. So what am I throwing in the bag this time? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. To begin with, 9 large bags of chips. That's absurd. We talked about these. I'm just going to put this down for a sec so I can put this in because this is going to take up some space. I just found myself cracking a lot this month. There's not really a good reason for it. It's just, I mean, some of it was to try new flavors, but it's just how it worked out. Unfortunately. Okay. See, and that, as I feared, doesn't want to go down. So we're going to have to push that down as we go. So I put it down first. Okay. Next, also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 small bags of chips. And only 2 bags of Doritos. So, I mean, that's reflective of the fact that I was in, like normally it's about the Doritos, right? Yeah, I was bad this month. I need to get back on track on that. And then in that period there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Black Diamond cheese containers. And just cheese wrappers. I don't normally put it in the brand. That was not really intentional. 7 cheese wrappers. Meaning it's been around 6-7 weeks. So I got 2 fettuccine containers, indicating that yeah, it's been a while. Normally it's about one of those a month. So did I just open one? I just opened one. So that's yeah. Okay. Also, this 2. Oh wow, it has that was okay. This is 2 salami. And okay, so that's the last thing. This is from when I got my blood taken in one of my doctors at the beginning of March. So this was almost a month ago. I got 1. Separated. 1, 2, 3 produce bags. That's it. I have several bracelets for emergency. One. We'll get to that after. Okay. This is a couple of Bix wrappers. There should be 3. Especially from yesterday when I did the irrigation. This is from the Kleenex box. These are dead pens that I've been hanging on to for way too long, and I'm finally throwing away. Is my bag full? Okay, let's, I don't want the pens at the top, so push them down a little bit. How that goes, always. I've got 2 tops of Pringles. I'm going to have to find a way to put this in. I should have put this in first. This pissed me off because I assumed that was recyclable. It's been a long time since I bought Pringles. It's not recyclable. upset about it, but I guess it just means that I won't buy any more, huh? Okay. One, two, three, four balance sheets. That may actually be two different laundry cycles. And I'm not, because the dryer in the back, just the motor in it just blew. So I've got my clothes out sitting here, including my underwear. That was the delicates, which was a small load. The next load, or the load that's in there, is my towels, which are the ones that pick up all the dampness. It's gonna be a shitty thing to let. I'm gonna let it sit. You know, it's gonna spin dry, so I'm gonna maybe let it sit for a little bit. There's lots of stickers here. I'm gonna get all the stickers at the same time. I even took them off the bag to do it. Okay. And there's stickers and a bar bracelet here. I have a bunch of, these are the Tylenol containers. I ended up taking out pretty much an entire box of them. Inspired at that. Some more Pringle wrap shit. This is top of a hot sauce, Frank's. Another bar bracelet. That was from my shitty ratchet this morning. That's the top of a margarine container. That's a receipt. And I put aside for budgeting. Lastly for the day, what was that? That's more red hot. Is it possible that I opened two? It is possible that I opened two, actually. Actually, no, that's the top of the air freshener. Is that everything? I think it is. Okay. And then toilet paper container. There's another one coming not too far from now. This is not full. We're gonna no, I'm just gonna put this down for a sec. We're gonna have to put in the books, lay them down. Well, it's not full. We may get quite a few books sticking out, kind of thing. But as the weight increases, we'll see how that holds. That is, of course, the point. And it is, after all, only plastic, so it shouldn't be such of a big deal. I'll get this in. So if I remember correctly, the last time we did this, I was a Godalesher Backup. And in fact, it doesn't seem as though, as amazing as it is, it actually does not seem as though that made much of a difference. If I maybe have a Godalesher Backup and a complex analysis text up. It's actually a really shitty book, and the prof was not very good. The prof is known as being not very good overall. How's it? I'm not going to name names, but I had another prof once describe him as a brilliant mathematician and a terrible teacher. And it's not even. I don't even mind if they're terrible teachers. You know, like I do most of the work myself. What bugged me about him was that he didn't. Like, it wasn't that he was a bad professor. It's that he didn't. In the sense of like explaining things, it was that like he had a really hard time indicating what was being taught. Right? He was. I was gonna say maybe you've had a prof like that, but I have not had another prof like that. This is the only prof I've ever had like this. I know he was. I'll point out that he was from China, and maybe there was kind of a culture gap there, but he had a really hard time, and I took him in a couple of courses. He had a really hard time getting across what parts that he would go over things in class that would not be tested, and the things that were on the test would not be gone over in class. And I don't mean just like gone over in class. I mean like assigned at all. He would test you on parts of the book that were not touched at all in the course. Were never assigned. There was never any assignment based on it. No, and he admitted doing it. In fact, he was doing it on purpose. He said, "I'll test you on the things in the assignment that are in the assignment, and we'll test you on the things in the test that are in the test," which is fine if you do it in class, right? But he intentionally tested you on things that you had no idea where you were going to get tested on, right? And you can imagine that wasn't very popular because he never had any idea. And like I say, I don't mean the only way to take his course is you had to read the whole book, front to back, and understand everything in it. Which and you can make the case that should be every course, but it's not every course, and it kind of negates the purpose of the course in the first place, right? If the course is just understand this book, then why is there a professor here, right? It's like a correspondence course with a guy that's being paid to talk in front of a classroom, right? Anyways, like I say, I had one other prof describe him in that terms. Like, they claimed he was a great mathematician. I never came across anything he wrote, but they claimed he was. But it was accepted even by the faculty that he was a very bad teacher. Anyways, we've now got a lecture block and a complex analysis up, and I'm going to see if I can push it down a little bit, but that I'm probably not going to, and that's that. So, how's the cleaning going? Like I said, I've got a load in. I'm kind of dreading taking it out. Not really knowing how I'm going to deal with that. I don't even know how to use a clothesline. I've never seen one. I've never seen a clothesline before. So it's like, I guess it's going to have to sit in here. It might actually help with the smell to be blunt with you. So, it's fairly fresh in here, although it smells like, I guess they're doing some barbecuing or something upstairs. That's what it smells like. And actually, I might even be able to take it out. 6 o'clock. Now that the laundry's done and that's done, I'm gonna do the floors in here, and I got a shower before I go to sleep, and I am starting finally to get sleepy, and that's good because, like I said, I haven't slept in days. It's been almost a week. I've never done a vlog like this where it's like a week and I can't sleep. Oh. But this is what's happening here. So yeah, the bag survives. I thought for sure that was it, but it's still gone. I'm just looking at this and thinking, there's no way that that's going to be dry. There's no way I can stay awake long enough for that to be dry, so I'm going to use some backup sheets here somehow. Put my clean ones away and see if I can get some blanketless crash down. Get back at this tomorrow because I am sleepy. At least I'm sleepy. Seems like I'll be back on Sunday morning. Probably. I don't even know.